starting today with $13,871 in episode 45. Just up there are some buffaloes. I'm right now in Kelowna. I am heading back to Vancouver tonight and then driving straight to Seattle. I have one last session at Grand Villa for you guys. Check it out. Welcome to episode 45. Welcome to the hands. We are kicking things off over here at Grand Villa playing some 2-5. The under the gun straddle is on for 10 and I have pocket 9s in early position. I raised it up to $30. Folds around to the cutoff who makes a call, and then big blind squeezes for 135. Gets back to me. This player is quite wild, quite loose, quite aggressive, so I don't expect to be behind all the time here, so I do make the call, and cutoff gets out the way. So we're heads up to a flop of king, queen, 3, 2 hearts. Not my favorite. It's probably going to go bet fold here, but my opponent surprisingly checks it over. I'm very happy to see a free turn card, so I'll check it back. Turn is the 3 of spades, so it's okay. My opponent bets here for 135. With a check flop bet turn line for this size, I don't think he's going to need traps on the flop. If he had a hand like ace 10 or ace jack, that would bet the flop. If he was going crazy with 7-5 suited, I'm pretty sure that would bet the flop too. So when he bets this, I think he's either got a queen or jacks or 10s, but I also don't think he's the type of player to check back a queen too often. So I'm not really winning against these, but it's just such a small bet, I can't fold right away. So I make the call, just in case maybe he's got pocket 8s or 7s or something. We go to river, which is the jack of clubs. Now he checks it over, and I was just a bit too happy to check this back and take it to showdown, but I just think he's got pocket 10s here almost every single time. Just the way the hand played out, the flop check was quite unusual. And I don't think he's built a proper flop check range, so I really should have gone for a bluff here, like 350 into there, represent queen jack, or I don't know, something like that. It doesn't really matter too much. I think he's just got pocket 10s every time, but I check it back fairly quickly, which I think is still the standard play. And he does, in fact, show the pocket 10s. I was a little bit worried about ace 10 suited in the moment, but I go back to flop, and that hand's always betting the flop, so I don't really like my play there, but we are going to start the session down about 270, but battle back up. Moving things along, we now upgrade by 2 cards up to pocket jacks. Button straddle is live this time, and I raise it up to $35. Folds back round to the button who makes the call. So we are heads up to a flop of queen 10 for 2 clubs. It's an overcard, but we do have some backdoor straight, backdoor flush possibilities, but I'm going to check it over and see what he wants to do. What he wants to do is put in a pretty sizable bet of $50 and nothing to do here but call. So off to a turn, which is, it's all right. It's the 8 of hearts. We do pick up a gut shot, some additional equity. Check it over, and now he fires out 100. It's like 2/3 pot. We still have second pair, well above second pair, and a gut shot. So, 6 outs to improve. So nothing to do here but call versus this sizing. And we're off to a river, which is really nice. It's another jack. So there is a 4-liner to a straight, but we do make trips on the river. I check it over, my opponent quickly checks back and announces 2 pair. Luckily for us, the river saved us, and we are going to build our stack back up to 900. Once again in early position, once again pocket 9s. I raise things up to $15. There's no straddle this time. We do get 3 callers, so we're playing out of position against 2 of them, and in position against the big blind, and we go 4 ways to a flop of 7-4-4 rainbow. Great flop for pocket 9s. So when it checks to me, I start with a small bet of 20. Low jack comes along, hijack folds, and big blind also tags along. Off to a turn, which is pretty good. It's 8 of hearts. It does introduce a few flush draws, as well as some straight draw possibilities. Not really. But 5-6 does get there. It checks to me, and our hand could really use some protection, but this is also only a 2-street hand, and I really shouldn't have bet this. Even like when I was thinking in the hand, I was like, this shouldn't be a bet, but it's so tempting to bet. It's still an overpair. It still needs a lot of protection. So I don't think the decision's too close, but I do think checking is better here. We're not going to get 3 streets from a 7, so I bet 85. I don't know about that. Low jack makes a call and big blind folds. So we're off to a river, which is the 10 of spades. Doesn't change anything. I check it over, and now he fires out. And I was planning to call most bets, but now he bets $310, which is slightly over the pot. If he bet, like, the pot was $292, he bet 200, or like half pot to 75%, I would just call. But now that he's bet over pot, he's very polarized. He's saying he's got either a bluff or at least a 4. Right, he's at least got trips, a straight, a full house, or a bluff. So I started thinking, what bluffs can he have that call pre-flop, flop, and turn with two players that act behind him on the flop and a player to act behind him on the turn? And I just can't think of any. He would literally have to be turning 7-8 into a bluff here. Or like ace-7. And I don't know any players that are doing that. Like 7-6 suited, they're just happy to check that back on the river. So I just can't think of any bluffs he's going to have here. So I do make a fold here. He does say good fold. So don't know if I believe it, but it is kind of reassuring to hear that. We finally don't have a pocket pair. We pick up ace-queen offsuit in the low jack. I make it 15, and the player to my left raises me up to $50. Folds back around to me. We're pretty deep, you know, $800 in a 2-5 game, as well as she is a reg, so I don't expect her to just have premiums here. So I make the call, and we're off to a flop of king, jack, 6, 2 clubs. Pretty good flop for my hand. We do have the nut flush blocker if the clubs do roll by. I also have a gut shot and an overcard, so I check it over, and she starts with a half pot bet of 50. I think raising on this board, you want to be very, very, very selective with your bluffs. This is just a gut shot right now, so I'm just going to flat here. And off to the turn, which is the queen of hearts, so we do pick up a pair. So if she has ace-king, we now have even more outs, and but I'm not going to lead here, so I just check it over, and she fires out a bet of 100 for half pot. You know, I can bluff club rivers. I still have a gut shot. I can still improve to trips. I still do have an overcard if that's somehow relevant. If she has like king 9 or something. But versus this size, I can't go anywhere. I am planning to lead club rivers as a bluff. So we get to a river, which is the best card in the deck. It is the 10 of clubs. I am no longer leading on this club. I am going for the check raise all in to represent the nut flush. So I check it over to her. Unfortunately for her, she checks back a set of either kings or jacks. This lady I've played maybe 10 or 15 pots with. I've won every single one against her. I feel so bad. But not too bad to pick up a $400 pot. We've got another premium. We pick up ace-king of spades in the high jack. The under the gun straddle is on. The player to his left has limp for 10, and I raise things up to 50. Button calls, and both the straddler and the limper call, and we get the best flop for ace-king suited. King 9, 6, 2 spades. When it checks to me, 4 ways and definitely betting this. I fire out for $75. Button comes along for the ride. The straddler folds. And now the limper starts cutting out raising chips. And fires out a raise of 225. While he's counting out these chips, I call this flop blindness. It's just when you smash the flop so hard that you just stop thinking. You look at his stack and all you want to do is just snap shove all in because your hand is so strong. But I thought about it a little bit more. The money's going in with him anyways, right? He's got nothing behind compared to the size of the pot. There's no turn he's not going to get it in on. And we're probably going to be behind him. You know, maybe not equity-wise, but we're definitely behind him. But button can come along with a dominated flush draw, a dominated king, and we can earn additional money that way through a side pot. So I just flat here to try and get the button to come along for the ride as well. Unfortunately, button is way too smart for that and makes the fold. Off to the turn, which is no help. It's the 8 of diamonds. We have no decision here when he goes all in. We snap call. I show my hand. And unfortunately, he looks way too excited to show his. Until the river comes a jack of spades. We make the nuts. The rivers are so nice to us today. He actually had king 9 suited for the top 2. Really nice to win that. We're about 48% or so on the flop and like pretty low on the turn, but really nice to hold on a big pot there and get us back into the positive. Moving things along, we've got ourselves another pocket pair. This one is pocket 8s. Cutoff has a limp for 5, and I raise things up to 30. I meant to do 25. The chips just got stuck together. But small blind folds, big blind calls, and cutoff also makes the call. So we're 3 ways to a flop, which comes down really nice. 9, 8, 5 rainbow. We flop the set. Checks over to me. I start a small bet of 30. And now big blind raises to 75. It's a little bit small of a raise considering how deep we are, but very happy to see it. Folds back to me, and I really want to put in the 3 bet, but I also don't want to scare him off just yet, so I just flat. And for some reason, when I flatted, I just thought there was 0 chance of me not turning quads. And sure enough, the turn came down to 8 of hearts. I didn't even skip a beat. I just thought it was coming for sure. I don't know. Big blind keeps firing out now for 125. And for a hand this strong, this pot is not big enough. I know this hand's really strong. It's so tempting to like slow play it, but he raised the flop and now he's bet turn. I wish his sizes were a little bit bigger, but they're really small. It's kind of like a 9 just trying to get to a cheap showdown. Not really a cheap showdown, but I don't know. I really wanted to go for the max. I wanted to get another 1,000 in on the river, and it's pretty tough to have bluffs here, you know. I'm blocking. There's no more 8s left, so you can't have any 8-7. You can have some 5-6, maybe some 10-jack. But, you know, we could be in a situation where he's got pocket 5s, and then we get all of it. We could be in a situation where he has 6-7 suited and pays off quite a lot. Or even the dream scenario where he has pocket 9s, where we just win literally all of it. But I go for the raise to 300, and he's in the tank for quite a while. And unfortunately, makes the fold. I still don't hate my play. Maybe I lost maybe a $200 bet on the river, but if he's folding a turn, he's not going to call a river raise anyway. So I cost myself $200, but gave myself the ability to win up to, you know, 1,400 if he does have a hand like 6-7 or I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Picking up ace king again. This time it's not suited, but that's all right. I raise it up to 15. We get a call from the button as well as both the blinds. So 4 ways to a flop of king 7-6, 2 diamonds. Checks to me. Going to start with a small bet here of 20. Button folds, small blind calls, as well as the big blind. So we are 3 ways to a turn, which is the king of clubs. Beautiful. Bottom 2 pairs now counterfeit. Makes it a lot less likely they got a hand like king 7, king 6 suited. So when it checks to me, I'm going to keep firing here. I bet out 60, just about half pot. Small blind fold and big blind comes along for the ride. Off to the river, which is the queen of clubs. Not my favorite card. We now lose to king queen. But it's just one hand. We can still go over some value here. When he checks it over to me, going to go for about 2/3 here. I bet out 180. One of things for quite a while. Really mulling it over, weighing his options, and finally decides on a call. That's pretty good news. I table my hand, and we are good. Chipping up here. One hand after that ace-king hand, the table actually broke. I didn't get a seat at the main table, so I went and played 1-3 for a little bit. I think I won or lost maybe like $4, so I just didn't record it. And now I got a seat back in the 2-5 game. I'm just now realizing I should have asked if I could move my entire stack over to the game, but for whatever reason, I just bought him for 1,000 again. But I pick up pocket queens under the gun +2, and I raise things up to $15. Folds around to a pretty crazy player who 3-bets me to 60. Love to see when you have queens. Folds back to me, and I'm just going to call versus this opponent and trying to keep his range as wide as possible. So I call. I'm pretty okay playing queens out of position here. And we go to a flop of jack 8, 7, 2 clubs. Pretty wet, pretty connected, but I check it over to him, and he bets small, $50. I just don't think he has anything here, so I just want to keep him in the hand as wide as possible. I make the call. We're off to the turn, which is the 7 of spades. It's a pretty nice looking card. I check it over, and he once again bets for really small, $90. I honestly think he's like drawing dead at this point, so I just call, try to get another river bet out of him. But the river is another 7, so it's going to shut down quite a few of his bluffs here. I check it over, and indeed, he does check it back. We're definitely good now with our pretty much nut full house against him. Okay, in this next hand, a couple people want to change the game to 2-5-10, but there's a few people that seem kind of uncomfortable with it, so I suggested we just do a round of straddles. So everyone agreed to that, so we are now playing 2-5-10 for a few hands. I'm in the straddle this hand, so I straddle $10 and I actually pick up pocket 3s. Folds around to low jack, who makes it 30. Hijack comes along, so does a big blind, and what are you going to do with pocket 3s here? We're obviously going to call, and even better, we are going to flop a set. Queen, 5-3, 2 hearts, amazing. Check it over to low jack, who bets out 60. Hijack makes a call, big blind folds. On this flop with bottom set, we are raising right away. Definitely have an image of being pretty bluffy on flops, so I raise up to 250 here. Low jack thinks for quite a while, and then makes the call. Hijack also folds. I don't see any turn card where I'm not shoving this all in, like even the 4 of hearts or something, so we're hoping for a clean one. We do kind of get it in the 4 of spades, so hoping it's not going to kill too much action, as I will have hands like ace deuce of hearts, 7-6, you know, stuff like that that does make a straight, but I'm just going to go with the plan. He's got about 2/3 behind, so I jam all in. And he doesn't think for too long and makes the call. I announce set, odds his head. We're off to a river, which is the 6 of hearts. It looks like a concerning river, but given his pre-flop action, he's probably gone over pair or a queen here, so I'm not worried at all. I show, and it is indeed good. We are running so hot today. Finishing off the session with my favorite hand, pocket aces. The straddle is still on. The under the gun player has raised to 30. Low jack has cold called the 30, and I make it 120 with pocket aces in the cutoff. Made it a little bit small just because the original raiser is a little bit short, considering the straddle is live. He's only got 70 big blinds. Folds back round, and he does make the call, and so does low jack, and we are 3 ways to a flop of 7-7-6 rainbow. Really nice looking flop. Low jack has probably hit this the hardest out of anyone, and is most likely to have a 7, so when it checks over to me, I start with a small bet of just 100, about quarter pot. Under the gun thanks for a bit and folds, and low jack thanks for a little bit, which is kind of concerning. Versus the under the gun player, I'd definitely be happy to get in on turns, but low jack I would most likely be checking back the turn for pot control, especially seeing how deep we are. But it doesn't come to that. Low jack also makes a fold, and we're going to pick up a nice little pot here to finish the session. That is it for episode 45. I really hope you guys enjoy the hands. That is the final Canadian vlog before I go on my road trip. I am now actually in Seattle, so stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to see all the latest American card rooms. I did play 3 sessions in this video. I missed one for recording. I just stopped down at Park Casino to play a quick 1-3 session. Mostly to take advantage of the free parking if you play, and ended up losing $578. So much for free parking. Then I played the 2-5 session at Villa. I was technically in twice, but I'm just going to count as one session. I was in for 2,000, out for 45.63 for a win of 25.63. It's a really nice way to end the trip, or start the trip rather. That's a total win this episode of $1,985, which is going to bring the bankroll from $13,871 to $15,946. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I will see you all in Seattle.